What's going on, guys? Averett13 here with another knife review. Today, we've got the Medford Smooth Criminal. Really wanted to get this review out there pretty quick because, um, when I was in the market for this guy and was doing a little bit of research, I didn't come across a whole lot of videos, but also it seemed like the ones that I did run across were maybe on I'm going to call it a previous generation of this same knife because, they talked about some things that I'm just not experiencing with this knife. So, real quick, we'll jump right into it. Medford Smooth Criminal. This may be the smallest Medford. I'm not sure, but if it's not, it's definitely one of the smallest Medfords. This is what many people would consider a normal size knife. 3-inch blade, 4-inch handle, 7 inches overall. This is a normal size knife. I've got size large hands as far as glove size is concerned, and as you can see, I've got just enough room to get all 4 fingers on. So this is a good size knife, and as you can see, it's a button lock. So one of the things that I did see mentioned in some of the videos and some of the reviews that I'd seen prior to purchasing this one was the detent being weak. I say detent, it's a button lock, but they were not having really good luck with deployment on the flipper action, and as you can see, I have no issue with it. So I do believe that Medford has, maybe saw those reviews and knew that there were some issues with deployment on the earlier models and has remedied that. This thing, I mean, it fires just fine, and it is a button lock, so as you can see, it just drops closed when you depress that button. Really fun knife to carry and use. Of course, you've got the flipper function there, button tab, button lock to close, and you can also just swing it in and out with a button lock if you want. So I think that they took some of those earlier critiques and took them to heart and kind of fixed it, and they made the knife better. So real quick, I'm not going to make this a long drawn out review here. This guy, like I said, this is going to be one of the smaller knives in the Medford lineup, and also one of the smaller knives that I own. Since I do have size, large hands, I typically don't go much smaller than this. So, if you're looking for a knife this size, it's worth noting that while it is, I'm going to say a smaller knife, it's still very much a full-size thickness knife. And what I mean by that is you take something like the Quiet Carry Drift, right, which more or less has the same overall footprint, right? Same more or less overall footprint, but the Drift is about half as thick as the Medford. So if you're going for something that's, ultra lightweight and in the size range, the Medford's not the knife for you. It's going to be, very much a full size, full thickness knife. You might be better off with something like the Drift. This guy's going to be much thinner, and is going to, carry, I'm not going to say easier, but it's certainly going to have a different profile in the pocket. This one's going to, you probably won't even know it's there, and you could carry this in gym shorts, whatnot. The Medford, you're going to know it's there. It's a full size thickness knife. I believe it's a little over a 1/2 inch thick. So that's got, pros and cons to it as well. This thing is very capable. This is going to be a very capable knife. It's going to handle more tasks than something that's, maybe not as thick. It's got a, good thick blade. Of course, it's hollow ground there, good slicing edge, but, just difference in design philosophies. So some things that I like about this, I think the flipper action's fine. I don't have an issue with that. I love the button lock. I like the size of it. For me, this is a good size. You know, whenever I'm locked in and everything just fits good. Like I feel like this is a good handle design. Now, the handle design is good, but I don't really care for the lanyard tab, the lanyard hole. And you know, for me, that's not really a negative, you know, or a positive, because, you know, I may not care for it, but yet there may be somebody else over here who wants one. And so while I may be saying, hey, it's not for me, if Medford was to leave it off, there'd be another guy saying, hey, I don't have a you know, lanyard hole, you know, what's going on, Medford? And they might be upset by it. So for me, this is kind of a moot point, you know, but personally, I don't care for it. At least in this configuration, it doesn't really bother me a whole lot. But, you know, if you were to be doing some heavy cutting tasks, there is a potential for it to maybe dig in right there. Another thing worth noting, not a big deal, the flipper tab is relatively, I'm going to say, small. And then it's got some pretty sharp jimping, so it's very grippy, very sharp. Now that helps you get a good action on it, but it could be, I could see how somebody would find it painful. You know, it doesn't bother me, but I could see how that would be an issue with some people. So that is worth noting. Those are the two major things I think are worth mentioning on this knife. The pocket clip, you know, standard pocket clip, you're going to have about that much showing, not a big deal. But to me, the two major things that you need to know about this knife are, it's got this lanyard loop kind of sticking out here, and the flipper tab is, you know, kind of sharp there. So not a big deal, you know, but worth mentioning for sure. Overall, I like it. I do like it. It fits, you know, kind of the role that I was looking for. And, you know, it being a button lock, it's got a certain bit of fun factor to it. So, one other thing, not a big deal at all. I don't know what color this looks like to y'all, but it's listed as yellow. To me, this is more of a greenish color. You know, as an example, here's an XM18 in bronze, right? That's kind of more yellow than that is. So I don't know. That's worth mentioning. I would call this more of like an army green type color, but you know, it is what it is. It's still a good looking knife, good looking color. So we'll knock out some size comparisons here real quick. I'll do it this way. I'll bring one out that I've already showed. The drift, you know, overall footprint is just about the same. Here is a Chavez Ultramar Redention Street. The Chavez is going to be just a hair longer. Overall thickness is about the same, right? Let's see here. Spartan Harsey. This is a big folder, right? Spartan Harsey, XM18. I should have just lined them up earlier when I was showing you the colors, but there's an XM18. That's a 3.5 inch Spanto, however you say it. Let's see, something a lot of people will have, Paramilitary 2. So you see, this is a good sized knife. It's I sold my Para 3, but it's more, I would say, more around the same size as the Para 3, right? You can see the Para 2 is a good bit longer. And let's see the Slim MIDI from Medford. Slim MIDI, of course, being a little bit slimmer, but a little bit longer. So there it is, guys. Just want to wrap it up. Like I said, I wanted to get the information out here because it does does appear that Medford has made some improvements. Like I mentioned earlier, there was a lot of the earlier reviews talked about having issues with that flipper tab deployment, and I don't have that issue. And of course, on those earlier versions, I noticed that the the kind of the pivot area had that older style screw, and of course this has the newer style pivot. So that tells me that it is at least a newer model. Of course, this one's brand new. But I can't help but to think that Medford made some improvements there and took some of those earlier critiques about the flipper action to heart and fixed them. So, whoops. But yeah, there it is, guys. Medford Smooth Criminal. Definitely worth checking out if you're in the market for a button lock. Any questions, comments, guys, feel free to ask. Take care.